I wish you all a very good morning. Welcome to the 18th B.W. Simpkins Seminar for Entrepreneurial Development at Brevard Community College Cocoa Campus. We ask that you please remain seated until the program ends, which will be about 5 of 12 or close to that. Students that need attendance cards for their reports from the event today, be sure to pick up an attendance card, it's a little white card about that big, as you leave the auditorium at the end of the proceedings today. Each spring and fall, we recognize successful national, regional, and local entrepreneurs for their special contributions of job creation, great products and services, and their contribution to the general economy. Also, I am pleased to announce that this term, we have officially installed a national award-winning entrepreneurship academic program with 3 options. One of 2 certificates. Secondly, a 2-year associate's degree, which is transferable. And third, a fast-track option of new specialized skill courses. I would at this time like to ask all students participating in E-SHIP classes, along with all present and past Simpkins Scholarship winners and applicants, and all entrepreneurs in attendance here today, and former entrepreneurship speakers to please stand and be recognized. Thank you. We'd like to thank our series founder, Mr. Bernie Simpkins, for making these events and the program possible through his generosity, and also recognize our college president, Dr. Jim Drake, and our board of trustees for their continuing support for entrepreneurship development at the college. We also welcome any special visitors that are visiting with us today, and especially our high schools. This is the largest high school attendance we have had at the seminars. Yeah, go ahead, congratulate yourself. The seminar would also not happen without the efforts of a lot of people behind the scenes as well. The college entrepreneurship team of faculty and staff, our stage crews, our sponsors, the Hilton Inn Cocoa Beach Oceanfront, and particularly our newspaper, Florida Today. A very special thanks to executive editor Bob Stover. A highlight of each of the seminars is the Entrepreneur Student Essay Competition. Mr. Simpkins has established a $1,000 scholarship for the best entrepreneurial idea. This fall, the committee selected a student in computer technologies. The winner is Caleb Roeder. Please join in congratulating him as he comes forward to receive his award.
Okay, look, you stay over there.
Here, hold it. Okay.
Good morning, I'm Bernie Simpkins, and thank you for coming, and thank you, Dr. Drake, for presenting this, making the college available for such a function as this. Out of this group, I'm sure we've got a bunch of entrepreneurs that'll be present. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Caleb. He's currently enrolled at Brevard Community College. He's going to obtain an AS degree in computer information technology. This is a degree that he's excited about and working towards. He's been self-employed for many years and looks forward to using his education to expand his services. I can tell you a long story about him. I've got his whole bio here. He's very interesting. He'll use his education to offer a full range of services. This will help him to meet the needs of his customers while remaining marketable. He's excited to take, keep using I. That's what the book says here. He says, as I complete my degree, I will offer many computer services such as networking, computer security, computer repair, and operating system management. He's grateful for the opportunity to continue his education. He knows that this education will empower him with many choices in his future. One thing that makes learning exciting is that I will be able to directly implement everything that I learn. Caleb, we congratulate you. We have an award for you, and we thank you for the good job. Yeah, I'm going to. He's going down. Okay, you go ahead down. Good. Good. Okay, Jill, you stay up here. I have with me my daughter, Jill Simpkins, and Jill Simpkins Crouch, and she's going to be here while I tell a special story to all of you. How do I turn this on?
Yeah, I can stand here.
1, 2, 3. It's not. 1, is this on?
Yes.
Okay. There's a story I want to tell you quickly. It won't take me but a couple of minutes. This is my grandson, or was my grandson. He was 18 years of age. His next week would have been 19 years of age. He was ready for his second year of college. On Sunday night, about 10 o'clock, he was driving up I-95, and it's been known now that he, number one, did not have his seatbelt on, and number two was that he was texting. So 2 lessons, please, everybody learn it. Wear your seatbelt, and do not text while you drive, please.
Thank you, Bernie. We would at this time like to invite all BCC students and future BCC students coming in the spring to make application for the scholarship award. We will give another one out in late March or early April. And you can talk to Caleb as to what he said in his remarks and what he has in mind, and get some clues on winning that $1,000 here at BCC. Now, today's guest lecture is all about triumph over tragedy. After her remarks, time permitting, we'll do a few questions from the stage. So get your comment cards ready to hand to an usher. I will be down in this area right here to take those cards from the ushers, and we'll see if we can't get your question answered. Please give your comment card to the usher. I'll take it from there. Ms. Ganahl will be in the lobby. You may purchase a signed copy of her book, Let's Find Out Who Let the Dogs Out.
Today, Heidi Ganahl, CEO of Camp Bow Wow, one of the fastest growing franchises in North America, is doing what she loves, following her vision and her dreams. But it wasn't easy getting to where she is today. It was her dogged perseverance in the face of unthinkable tragedy that made her one of the most successful women entrepreneurs in America. Nearly 20 years ago, Heidi and her husband Bayan had their whole life planned out. Young, adventurous, entrepreneurial, and energetic, they were ready to take on the world. Together, they conceived of and developed a business plan for their shared vision, an upscale daycare for dogs. Full of energy, they dove headlong into the plan. Unfortunately, their plans came to an unexpected and tragic halt. For his 25th birthday, Heidi and her parents scheduled Bayan, always the risk taker and thrill seeker, for a ride on a stunt plane.
My parents actually went to surprise him, and the plane did all the stunts. They had a great time, everything was going well, and they went to do a tip over to kind of, say hello to my parents who were standing there, and the plane just dove right into the ground. So my dad's good friend and my husband both died right on impact.
As one may expect, Heidi's life went into a tailspin. She quickly went through the $1 million settlement money following 2 unsuccessful startup business ventures. Feeling guilty and nearly out of money, she was ready to give up. Until she found her inspiration.
the dogs, I mean, it's easy to look at them and see them, you know, watching you like, hey, come on, you know, you still got life to live. Let's get up and play ball. Between that and knowing that Brian had such great ideas, and I did too, I knew he would want me to follow through and kind of make something big happen.
And so with the encouragement of her family, she dusted off the business plan she and Brian developed years earlier, and she threw her energy into their dream. Though it wasn't immediately successful, Heidi knew it was going to work. It was her passion after all, and with a lot of hard work, it was destined to succeed. She had no idea how right she was. Since taking off earlier this decade, Camp Bow Wow has rocketed to success. Heidi Ganahl has sold more than 200 franchises and grown Camp Bow Wow into a $40 million a year business, the biggest of its kind in North America. Camp Bow Wow has been listed in Inc. magazine as one of the 500 fastest growing companies in North America, and in Entrepreneur magazine as one of their top 105 growing franchises. In addition to Camp Bow Wow, Ganahl has recently spun off Homebodies, an in-home pet sitting service, and has already sold 50 of those franchises. Heidi has raised over $100,000 for canine cancer research, and the proceeds from her book, Tales from the Bark Side, are donated to the charitable foundation she founded, the Bow Wow Buddies Foundation. Ganahl has been featured on countless talk shows, including The Today Show, MSNBC's Your Money, Joan Rivers' How Did You Get So Rich, and Fox News' Fox and Friends, just to name a few. Recently remarried and the mother of 2 daughters of whom she is exceedingly proud, her home life is as rewarding as her career. At Camp Bow Wow, Ganahl's employees are dedicated to the company and to Heidi's continued vision. And like Heidi, they love dogs and they love their work, if not for an unwavering tenacity and perseverance. And those days of her dogs pushing her to succeed, who knows what would have happened. Instead, Ganahl steered Camp Bow Wow to industry awards for the Best Service Business of 2009 and the Best Woman-Owned Business of 2010. In Heidi's own words, trust in your instincts and stay true to your vision. And know that everything you need in life already exists within yourself. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome founder, president, CEO, and all-around top dog of Camp Bow Wow, Heidi Ganahl.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here with all of you. I thought I lived in a beautiful place in Boulder, Colorado, but I think you guys have me. It is amazing here. And waking up, looking at the beach, and getting to do that every day, I'm very jealous. I know the mountains are great and Boulder's beautiful, but I'll take the beach any day, honestly. And that, that makes me think of a dream that I have. And a dream that I have is to live on the beach someday. And I think all of us have dreams, and all of us have visions of what we want to do with our lives. I want you to think of one right now. Think of something that's really important to you that you want to do with your life. And it may be right now. If you're in high school, it may be making the football team or being a cheerleader or getting straight A's or getting a scholarship. Or if you're out of high school, it may be starting your own business, or even if you're in high school. Or it may be having a family and having children and living life to the fullest that way. But all of us have dreams, and all of us have visions for our life. And I certainly had a dream from the time I was a little girl. You saw a picture of me with my dog, Daisy. I was a little Benji look-alike. And I received Benji as a birthday gift when I was 3 years old, I think it was. And she lived to be 17, so she was a big part of my life. I always thought I wanted to have a business around dogs or be involved with dogs and other animals as I built out my career, my vision for my career. And I thought I'd go more down the veterinarian path. That is, until I took biology and chemistry and decided that probably wasn't a good idea. I don't think I could have gotten into vet school. So I had to rethink that a little bit. And obviously, it's not something that you put a lot of thought into when you're busy with high school and busy in college, living your life. You just know that you want to do something that you love and that you're passionate about. So think back again to that dream that you have. And if you guys haven't already turned in your comment cards, or if you have another piece of paper or even a phone, text yourself what your dream is right now to live your life. And It may be something huge or it may be something little. But my goal is today, when you walk out of here, that you're going to take one step towards fulfilling that dream. Just even a baby step, even a little itty bitty baby step. And do something towards making that dream come true. Because honestly, that's all it takes, is one step at a time. And that's hopefully the message you'll leave with at the end of our time together today. So 10 years ago, in November of 2000, exactly 10 years ago, it's our 10-year anniversary with Camp Bow Wow next month, or 70 in dog years, as we like to say. My brother came to me and said, Heidi, you seem so lost. So much has happened at this point. So much had happened in my life, as you saw from the film. And you're a single mom. You're basically out of money. And you're doing something that you kind of like, pharmaceutical sales, but I wasn't super passionate about it. And he said, let's get that dream off the shelf. Let's get the old business plan out for Camp Bow Wow and see if we can't make it happen. Well, he said something else very important to me, and he said, Heidi, the only thing that's stopping you from fulfilling your dream is you. That's it. That's the only thing that's stopping you from fulfilling your dream. And he's 7 years younger than me. You know how big sisters are with little brothers. I was like, yeah, whatever, Patrick. You go live your dreams. Let me worry about mine. But I did think about it, and I didn't admit it to him, but I thought about it long and hard for a few days. And I said, you know what? He's right. I had been the all-American girl. I had lived a great life until about 5 years before that, when everything turned upside down, when my husband was killed in that plane crash. So let's see if I can get this thing to work. You guys will find out about me. I love dogs and animals, and I'm great at business, but technology is not my thing. And who knew I was actually starting a technology company when I started Camp Bow Wow, but I'll tell you more about that. So I was the all-American kid up until that time in 1994, and I married a great guy. Brian was fantastic. He was my best friend. His name was like Brian without the R. His parents were like these 60s love children, and they thought of that name. It means like strength and energy or something, which he definitely had a lot of energy and strength. But it was fantastic. We were married. We had a great time together. We had two beautiful dogs, Mick and Winnie, that we'd rescued from shelters. And he was on his way towards getting a degree in business. He was about a semester short when he passed away, actually. All that work for, just up in smoke. But anyway, he also pushed me to really think about what I wanted to do with my life. And little did I know they were sitting right at my feet. My furry friends were sitting there, and we struggled with what to do with our dogs when we traveled and when we went up to the mountains. And so we created this idea for a place called Camp Bow Wow. And it would be a place where dogs could have fun. Instead of being dragged into and left in a kennel in the back area where they'd bark the whole time, it'd be miserable. So we thought it'd be really cool to have a mountain lodge theme, and that we would make it a place where the dogs could play instead of being back in the back. And try and make it fun for the clients, too, so that they didn't have to feel guilty about leaving their animals. How many of you guys actually have dogs? That's huge. Who are the cat lovers in the audience? All right, we got some kitty cat lovers. We have Homebodies for that now, so that's good. 63% of Americans own pets in this country. So we are definitely a pet-crazy country, and there are over, I think last count is like 70 million dogs in this country. So you're not alone, and we all love our dogs, don't we? They're like our kids or like our best friends, and they bring so much to our lives. Kitty cats, too. But basically, we created this plan, and we decided to go for it. We had no money, you guys. We were broke. We were in our early 20s, and he was just finishing up college. And I thought, well, we can still make this happen. We'll figure out something. And then you go talk to the landlords, and you're like, I want to have like 100 dogs in your facility, and I'm going to, I'll keep it clean, I promise. And they're like, yeah, right. You're crazy. And doggy daycare was not something that was commonly known about at that time. There were maybe a couple in each of the big cities around the country, but it was just starting to take shape. And so we started looking for a facility, and about 6 months in is when my folks decided to give Brian that present for his 25th birthday. My dad ran into one of his old friends, Cliff, who was a pilot for United Airlines and had a 43 Stearman, the picture of the plane that you saw, which is actually on the next slide. And it was a stunt plane, and they did all the stunts, and everything went fine. And just as the plane was going to do the tip over, it crashed into the ground. And for whatever reason, I decided not to go that day. I stayed back. We had a garage sale back at our house, a community garage sale, and I mean, thank God I didn't go, although my parents have had a very rough time after seeing that. And it changed our family, it changed me, it changed everything about my life. I went from having everything I could ever want to having nothing. In my eyes, that's how I saw it. And I just missed buying desperately, and I missed my life, and I just wanted things to go back to normal. And unfortunately, things don't work out that way usually. We have to do the best with what we're handed in life, whether it's struggles early on, whether it's struggles later in life. It happens to all of us. And so you really have to dig deep and look at, you know, why did this happen to me? Well, you may not get that answer, but what can I do about it? Remember what my brother said to me, the only one that's going to stop you from fulfilling your dreams is you. And it may be a tragedy like this. It may be the loss of money. I mean, that's a big factor right now for everybody with the recession. It's become very difficult to financially make things happen that we thought we could make happen before everything that's happened with the economy in the last couple of years. So I went searching for normal, and I didn't do it in the healthiest way possible. I basically kind of went within, and I didn't want to talk to my friends and family about it. I almost got numb about everything. You think that you'd just start crying, you'd deal with it that way, and you'd be very emotional. It's not always like that, and so you kind of hide within yourself, and you so desperately want your life to be normal again. You just want to feel normal for just a little bit. And so I went to my 10-year high school reunion about 6 months after the accident, and one of my good friends, Kirk, who I'd grown up with since 7th grade, I'd known him when I moved to Monument, Colorado, and he was there, and he had moved to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, which is up near Aspen, and I had recently decided to move up to Aspen for a little bit. So we decided to start hanging out when I was up in Aspen, and I quickly jumped into a relationship with him, and we remarried fairly fast within a couple years of the accident. And I wasn't ready. I just wanted to feel normal. I didn't want to be a widow anymore. I didn't want everybody to think of me as the girl who had lost their husband in a plane crash. And Kirk was very familiar to me. I'd known him since 7th grade, so it felt very natural and good to hang out with him, and kind of, he knew me as the Heidi before that happened. There was pre-Heidi and post-Heidi. The other thing that happened that was quite crazy was about 3 months after the accident, I received a check in the mail for $1 million. And that was from the plane crash settlement with the insurance company. And to go from living paycheck to paycheck and not having any money to all of a sudden having a check for $1 million, I can't even describe to you the feeling that I had when I looked at that. A, because it's a lot of responsibility, but B, you know, you should be excited and happy about that. And Biden and I used to kid around about how we just wanted to win the lottery, but that's not the way I wanted to do it. And it was a very, very difficult thing to figure out how to handle that money, especially at the age of 27, and going from having no money to all of a sudden having a lot of money. And people told me, oh, you can live the rest of your life without ever working. I hate to say this, but $1 million is not that much money. Once you pay the fees for investing the money, and once you know, if you want to buy a house, then you have to pay property taxes and furnish the house. And then you have a lot of family and friends coming to you and asking you for loans and different gifts of money. And I'm a very giving person, and I just said yes. I said yes way too many times to the tune of losing most of that $1 million. The other thing that happened was Kirk had just gotten out of rehab. And I thought, he just went through his crazy college years. He drank a lot and partied too much. Well, I learned very quickly that you can't change somebody that has an addiction. It's a very dangerous thing to involve yourself with. And we were divorced within a year of getting married. But we did have our beautiful daughter, Tori, who's become a big part of my life. And she's a high school student now, a sophomore in Boulder. And that's a picture back when she was a little gal. And so basically, here I was, a single mom. I was involved in a very bitter custody battle with Kirk and his mom because I wasn't okay with him driving with her, and he lost his license eventually, but he had gotten 4 DUIs, and I wasn't okay with that. Well, his mom saw that as a control thing and decided to put me into a 4-year custody battle that cost me over $500,000 in legal fees. So that battle, along with the struggle to figure out what I wanted to do with my life was very demoralizing and hard on my self-esteem, hard on my family. It wasn't what I wanted for my life. And so I really had to dig deep and figure out what I wanted and what I was passionate about. Well, the passion was sitting right at my feet. Like I said, it was my dogs. My dogs had helped me through so much, and they were the ones that got me out of bed every day. They dropped the tennis ball at my feet like, hey, I know you're depressed, but I still want to go play ball. And it taught me a very important lesson about getting up and doing things and moving forward even in the face of adversity. So back to where my brother comes to me and says, no one can stop you from fulfilling your dreams but you. Well, I thought, this is it. This is my time. I have $80,000 left in the bank from that $1 million settlement. I don't like my job, and if I'm going to do this, now is the time to do this. And I dusted off the old business plan. We started looking for a site, and we found this old Veterans of War and War Hall. It was horrible. It was all greasy and gross, dirty. We scrubbed and cleaned, and we made it into a very special place for dogs. It certainly wouldn't meet Camp Bow Wow standards today by any means, but it was about 2,500 square feet, hardwood floors, and the dogs just started coming. Doggy daycare was a new thing for people in Denver, and they thought, the dogs are going to fight, they're going to kill each other, they're going to get sick, they're going to bite you. And I thought, no, dogs are pack animals. And I even had to convince some veterinarians of this. They had a tough time believing that this would work as well. But once you saw it, when you walked in and there were 25 dogs playing together, it was magical. And they were having such a good time, and they completely wore themselves out and avoided the Marley and me syndrome of destroying the entire house, which was good. So we had been in business for about 2 months, and we got our first call from the press, the Rocky Mountain News. The Rocky Mountain News called, we're going to come by and do an article. So my brother was in the yard area playing with the dogs, and I was running late. And I walk into the environment, and my brother's not the most social guy. He's great with the dogs, but not necessarily great with people. And so I walk in, and I hear my brother yelling, hey, no humping allowed, to the group of dogs. And I thought, I stopped in my tracks, and I was like, oh no. Well, guess what the title of our first article in the Rocky Mountain News was? No humping allowed at Camp Bow Wow. That's still a rule. They don't always follow it, but you can definitely see some pornographic things when you look at the webcams now. So that was our first taste of PR in the world of Camp Bow Wow. And my brother obviously took a lot of flack for that. We actually had fun with it and made t-shirts that said circle/humping and handed them out to our clients. They thought that was pretty funny. And all dogs have to be neutered and spayed that come to Camp Bow Wow for that reason. But anyway, one other thing we did at Camp Bow Wow that was a lot of fun, we had our first webcam. And I know this is going to be hard for you guys to believe because you're so up on technology, but back then a webcam was simply a little camera that would post a picture to the internet every 60 seconds. And so what would happen is you'd get pictures of the dogs and they'd be like midair, like halfway flying through the air, or they'd be just this big fuzz. And so people would call from all over the world as they were vacationing and say, can you put my dog in front of the camera? So you'd have to hold the dog in front of the camera for like 60 seconds waiting for the camera to take the picture. And then it would post to the internet, and then they'd call you back. I didn't like that picture. Can you do it again? But anyway, things have evolved quite a bit in the webcam arena. We now have an iPhone application. You guys can buy it. It's $1.99, and you can watch any of the webcams around the country. It's live videos streaming. We have a rover cam that attaches to the dog. Oops, sorry, guys. And so you can watch from a dog's point of view what's going on. And so see, I told you we started a technology company. We didn't realize that. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. And Camp Bow Wow has been everything that I imagined and more. I opened a second location in Broomfield, Colorado, shortly after the first one. And one of our clients worked for Mrs. Fields Cookies. And he said, have you thought about franchising? I was like, are you kidding me? I can barely handle the 2 sites I have right now. I don't know anything about franchising. I don't know that that's a great option. Well, I started to get phone calls from people all over the country saying, how do I do this? I've read about you. I've seen this on TV. I've seen this on the internet as the internet was starting to take off. What do I need to do to get started? So I thought, well, this is probably the universe telling me that something bigger is supposed to happen here. And the more I started to see how happy the dogs were at Camp Bow Wow, the more I started to see how happy the clients were that they had a great place to bring their dogs, the more I believed that this really could be something big. So I went to the International Franchise Association meeting with him, about 3,000 franchisors from around the country. I met some great people who are very devoted to helping me get this concept off the ground. No one had started franchising a dog daycare or a dog boarding facility, which was kind of odd to me. But I thought, well, this is a good opportunity. I should take it forward. I had no money. My credit cards were maxed out. The first 2 camps were just starting to break even and make some money. And instead of finally paying myself a salary, I took the money and put it into starting to franchise, which today I can say that was a pretty good idea. Back then, my family and friends thought I was nuts. My employees thought I was nuts. And they all just rolled their eyes at me, which I'm sure you guys have experienced as you've talked about your different dreams and visions. So we started franchising. The first franchise we sold was in Castle Rock, Colorado. It was a 13,000 square foot facility. So it was huge compared to my previous 2 places. And have you guys ever seen the movie The Money Pit or heard about it? All right, well, this building was the Money Pit. It was an old foam manufacturing place, and they had bicycle helmets to insulate the building. And it was a disaster fire code-wise and building code-wise, but we persevered. The gal who bought the first franchise was a single mom and decided this was her dream and wanted to make it true. So we got that first franchise open, and things really took off from there. We actually had a website at that point, which I know you guys will find this hard to believe, but that was very innovative and creative back then, and it was just one page where we had some information about the franchise company. And then, in July of 2005, something amazing happened. Have you guys seen the commercial for UPS where they're all sitting around the computer and the company's all excited because they got their first order? They're like, woo! And then the orders start coming in and they're like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna handle this? Well, that's what it was like this day. All of a sudden the phone was ringing off the hook and we couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, come to find out, we had been featured on the cover of America Online as the next great franchise. I had no idea it was coming. I just happened to sit next to a gal at lunch at the IFA meeting who heard about what we were trying to do. She wrote a little story and it was picked up by America Online, which back then AOL was the place to be on the internet. And we received over 3,000 franchise leads from that one day alone. It was fabulous. But it also put us into high growth mode. I had no money to grow the team because you get these franchise fees, but they go quickly to cover the cost of building the team to provide all the support to the franchises. And you have to advertise, and there's a lot of legal fees and other things that go into franchising. So it was very challenging, but a lot of fun. It was a great time at Camp Bow Wow. We ended up selling over 200 franchises in the next couple years and starting Homebodies. But more importantly, we were taking care of many, many more dogs and really changing the way people were taking care of dogs in this country and giving them another option so they didn't have to feel guilty about leaving their animals at home. Well, everything was going great until January of 2008 when we got a call from Comerica, the bank company that does all of our SBA loans. So a franchisee will buy a franchise and then they receive SBA financing for that typically. And you usually had to put about 10% down and you could get a loan for the rest of it, and that's how you would start your business. Well, in January of 2008, Comerica, the largest funder of franchises in the US, backed out of franchise financing completely. So we had over 40 people that were signed on and had paid franchise fees, and now all of a sudden they don't have a loan to get going. So we had to really dig deep and try and figure out a different way that these people could realize their dream. The year got worse and worse. As you know, 2008 was not a fun year. We saw the stock market crash actually at our annual franchise meeting, which we called, that one was Marty Dog. It was in New Orleans. And we were all sitting together, all a couple hundred franchisees, as we watched the stock market tank, and nobody knew what to expect. It was a very scary time. So I'm thinking, great, I finally get this business going. It's doing great. Everything's wonderful, and the market falls apart, and now I've got to reinvent Camp Bow Wow and figure out a way for people to still realize their dream of taking care of animals, but without the $500,000 camps that people had gotten accustomed to starting and seeing as Camp Bow Wow. Well, we did figure out a solution. We found a thing called Homebodies, or we've created a thing called Homebodies, which is in-home pet care. And people could start that for under $50,000 out of their home, and still be part of the Camp Bow Wow brand and the family. And it was a struggle at first to get people out of the mindset that they had to have a camp or a facility, but they did glam onto it, and we now have 50 franchises for Homebodies. We have 110 camps open around the country, and we have 25 Bow Wow Behavior Buddies, which is our new dog training franchise. And I finally met somebody about 2 or 3 years ago now, Jason, and got remarried and had a little girl named Holly, so we have another one. And this is my dog Raider and my little rescue dog Scout. Scouty's named after the guy in our logo, and he's a little toy Maltese mix who had to have open heart surgery when he was like 2 pounds, I think he was, at Colorado State University. So we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary with Camp Bow Wow this year, 70 in dog years. We've got Bow Wow Behavior Buddies going now, Homebodies going now. But I'll tell you what, you guys, it was not easy. There have been so many challenges along the way, and so many times I had to dig deep and really think about what my brother said about the only one that's going to stop you from following your dream and being successful is you. And I hope you know what I mean by that the mindset that any obstacle that comes your way can stop you in your tracks and prevent you from having your dream is what you've got to learn to get past. In order to do that, it's really about facing fear and taking steps towards your dream anyway, and then finding something that you're extremely passionate about so you'll get past those obstacles without feeling like you can't do it or you don't want to do it or you're going to give up. And then taking action, or as we like to say in dog speak, playing ball. Just moving forward, taking action towards your dream. Oops. We've had a lot of great press over the years. You mentioned some of it in the video about getting named to the Inc. 500 list and Entrepreneur Franchise 500, all these different awards. But at the end of the day, what's really, really important is my passion, and that was changing the way people took care of dogs in this country. Have you guys used a traditional kennel before? It's not pretty and the dogs don't have a good time, or you have to have your family and friends come over and watch your dogs. Well, that's not the case anymore. People really have glammed onto this idea of socializing their dogs and giving them a great alternative to how to take care of their animals. On top of that, we've been able to create the Bow Wow Buddies Foundation, which is a nonprofit arm of Camp Bow Wow. We started the foundation with a crazy trip to Greece. Have any of you been to Greece before? Have you seen all the stray animals in Greece as you go around the islands? Well, in Greece and lots of other countries around the world, animals are kind of a nuisance. They're kind of like pigeons, and people don't see them the way we see them. We spoil our dogs and cats rotten, right? And snakes and hamsters and everybody else. So we decided to go over there and see what we could do to help, and we went for 10 days, and we spent time at the garbage dumps, that's where the dogs live, and helping the animal welfare workers over there. And we ended up deciding to bring 26 dogs back with us that were street dogs. They were all tied up to these trees on the street. And we had to do this big undercover operation with Lufthansa Airlines. We talked them into letting us bring the dogs back under the assumption that they were our dogs, that we were adopting them, the 4 of us. I don't know why they believed that, but they did. And we had to smuggle the dogs there in the middle of the night. We had these crates set up, and the animal welfare workers met us at the airport, and we got them onto the plane, 16-hour flights. The dogs were, we gave them a sedative, so they were okay, but they were certainly ready to get out of those cages when we got back to Colorado. And we ended up finding homes for all of them in America, but it was a lot of training and special care for those animals because they were a bit crazy, to be honest. And like we say, the Greeks are a bit excitable and fun and energetic, but it was a great time. Well, the foundation grew into not only taking care of animals around the world, but of course taking care of animals here. So all of our camps foster dogs. So we've adopted out over 5,000 dogs at all the camps around the country, and we're adopting out about 1,000 dogs a year at this point. They're fostering at the camps and then finding homes, or the camps are finding homes for them. And we've recently partnered with Colorado State University to stop canine cancer, as 1 in 4 dogs die of cancer, so we sponsor a PhD research scientist there. And then the On Our Way Home project is really cool. It's like extreme makeover for shelters, and we recently launched that as well too. So it all goes back to finding what you're passionate about, finding what you're really, really excited about in your life. Does anybody want to share their dreams? Is anybody not too shy to do that? Stand up and say something that you'd like to do. Yay, up there. You're going to have to talk real loud. Uh-oh, did somebody raise a hand for you? What's something that you want to accomplish? Don't fall off the ledge. You do. She wants to be a pediatrician. All right, good. Let's give her a hand. If she has the guts to get up in front of all of you and talk about what her dream is, then what do you think her chances are of accomplishing that dream? Pretty good, yeah. Who else? Does anybody else want to stand up? Here you go. Talk really loud.
I want to be a psychologist.
A psychologist, cool. That's awesome. All right, anybody over here on this side of the room? Here you go, stand up. Own your own restaurant. What kind of restaurant? A grill. All right, good, easygoing place to hang out. Cool. So you guys, I know each and every one of you have a dream, and I want you to really think about what that dream is today. I'm going to answer some questions, but when you walk out of here, I want you to think of one thing that you can do to take a step towards fulfilling your dream and living your dream. I did it, and I had everything go wrong that possibly could have, and I don't have any special talents, I don't have any special skills, I don't have a fancy degree, but what I do believe is that I'm responsible for fulfilling my own dream, and that I can make my dreams come true. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to. You're your biggest fan and your biggest proponent, and that's the most important thing you want to walk out of here today knowing. If you don't believe you can make it happen, then there's no one else that's going to believe as much as you. So you've got to find something that you're really passionate about in order to do so. So let's go ahead and take some questions. How did you get through all the paperwork? That's what holds me back, licensing, taxes, etc. Well, God love our government. I know they're trying to help out and protect us from ourselves, but it is a lot of crazy work, and you've got to find great people that know what they're doing, whether it's you want to start a restaurant or go into the Army or be a pediatrician. Half of it is just figuring out how to fill out the paperwork to get there. Do you guys agree? So with the internet, you've got an amazing tool to be able to research different things that you want to do and explore different careers and different opportunities. So I would say, get to know Google very well and research it, and then find some great people to mentor you that know what you need to do to get to where you want to go. What's your favorite kind of dog? What's the #1 favorite dog in the U.S.? Do you guys know? How many think it's a beagle? How many think it's a terrier? How many think it's a golden retriever? How many think it's a German shepherd? It's pretty high up on the list, but not #1. The #1 dog in the U.S. is a Labrador retriever. My favorite kind of dog is the kind that you get down at the shelter that's a little bit of everything and that's going to love you no matter what because you've rescued them and got them out of a bad situation. So we're all about adopting dogs from rescue organizations. What is the most effective way you advertise your business? What do you guys think? It's the internet. 1/3 of our clients at the camps come from the internet. Same with our franchise sales. All right, guys, let's quiet down a little bit so everybody can hear. We use Google Ad Search, which is the little ads that pop up on Google, and it's also very important to get as high as you can in the rankings for Google. And so we spend a lot of time on search engine optimization. Do you guys know what that is? It's so that whatever you enter on Google, if you enter dog daycare, that Camp Bow Wow would come up first. And it's very complicated how they do it, but that's a very important way to advertise. And then we also do ads in the airline magazines because a lot of people travel. And I'm really excited about it now. We have coming up in January during the Puppy Bowl. Have you guys seen the Puppy Bowl? It shows during the Super Bowl, and it's a bunch of little puppies that they see playing on the football field. And have you guys seen the water bowl cam they have? It is so cool. Like the camera's up from underneath, and it shows the dogs lapping at the water. So be sure and watch the Puppy Bowl. We're going to have a Camp Bow Wow commercial there. With such a diverse group of canines and breeds, have you considered grooming and agility training in competitions? Yes, actually we have a lot of franchisees who partner with agility groups to do competitions in their local markets and let the dogs have fun and do events locally. But we also have play equipment in our play yards. So when you see the outside space at a Camp Bow Wow, you'll see that there's little play equipments and tunnels and bridges that they can go in and out. And we don't have a Camp Bow Wow here locally, and we really want one. So if somebody wants to franchise, obviously, give me a call. Let's see. Can you speak to the importance of business plan development? Ugh, that was my least favorite part of growing this business and figuring out how to get it off the ground, was actually putting it down on paper and doing the financial forecasts and the strategic planning. But you guys, if you don't write down what you want to do and what you accomplish, it's very likely you will not get there. You've got to create a good plan, even if it's very, very simple, just very simple bullet points about where you need to be and what you want to do and how you're going to get there. If she wants to be a pediatrician, what's one of the main things that she has to do? Graduate. That's great. Graduate high school with great grades and get into a wonderful college and get great grades again so that she can get into medical school, right? Yep, like BCC. It's a great place to start. So it's all about being organized in your thoughts and your actions and developing your plan by just writing it down. Just put bullet points on a piece of paper and then fill in the blanks. Where should I find liability insurance and bond companies that can give the best rate to work with pets? There are some great foundations or organizations on the internet, like Pet Sitters International, I think it is, for pet sitting, and then the Pet Care Services Association, they can help you with that as well. What's the most difficult issue you've had to overcome since you began Camp Bow Wow? Well, that's easy. Lack of money. I don't recommend starting a business without a lot of money or access to money available. Always multiply what you think you need times 3. So if you think you're going to need $100,000 to start a business, multiply that times 3. If you think you're going to need $500 to start a business, you need $1,500. That's a good rule of thumb. But not having access to money doesn't mean that you shouldn't start your business. There's lots of resources out there and lots of people that want to see you be successful. There are scholarships through gentlemen like Bernie up here. There are amazing resources like grants and different tools for you. Especially the younger you are, it seems like there's a lot of resources for young people out there to start their own businesses. And I think the college here is a great opportunity to research those different ways to get grants and money to start your own business. So don't let that stop you. There's definitely people out there that want to help you. The other thing was people telling me that it wouldn't work. At every point in the whole journey of Camp Bow Wow, everyone had a reason why it wouldn't work. The dogs were going to fight. The dogs were going to get sick. I didn't have enough money. I didn't know what I was doing. I hadn't started a business before, which I had. I had 2 other businesses that I tried to start that didn't work out so well. But everyone's going to come up with a reason why you can't be successful. And you just have to laugh and look them in the eye and say, I'm the only one that's going to be in my way of opening my business or becoming a pediatrician or doing what I want to do. And I'm going to let myself do it. I'm going to give myself permission, and I'm going to be my biggest fan, and I'm going to make it happen. What was the biggest challenge transitioning from a single business to a franchise? Well, all of a sudden we had not just me that we had to keep happy as the business owner, but 200 other people that were owning these independent operations and really wanted to do their own thing. But as a franchise, which you guys know, when you walk into a franchise, if you walk into a McDonald's anywhere in the country, you expect to get the same experience, the same kind of look and feel, the same product or food, right? What's one of your favorite franchises? Yell out your favorite franchise. Yep. Domino's, McDonald's, Quiznos. What are some non-food related ones? All right. Okay, see, franchising is a great business to be in. Everybody loves franchising for the consistency and standards and operations that are there. Okay, guys. So the biggest challenge was getting people to follow that system and to believe that what we had would work and they didn't need to reinvent the wheel and do things differently. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Is there a lot of competition in the doggy daycare business for you? Yes, it's growing like crazy. People spent over $50 billion on their pets in the US last year, and that's growing by about 10% a year. So a lot of folks are starting to realize that there are better ways to take care of your animals in this country, and doggy daycare is one of them. It's a great way to save money from having to replace your couch or your furniture when it gets chewed up, And when you get home, your dogs are nice and worn out. They're not bugging you to go out and play ball or run a mile at the end of the day. How much money have you made or will make this year? Well, me independently, I just pay myself a salary. And so I pay myself a salary to run the company. All my money's in the business. That's a big misnomer that a lot of people have. It was funny, I was telling Dr. Fuller when I went on Joan Rivers' show, How'd You Get So Rich? I kind of laughed and I was like, well, it's not happening yet, not until you sell the company. That's when you make the most money. But in the meantime, I've got to put every penny that I can back into growing the business and back into the business. And so you have to make a choice. Are you going to pay yourself a big salary, or are you going to put the money into the business to grow the business so eventually you can sell it for a lot more money? Does that make sense? Yeah. So don't go into business for yourself thinking that you're going to get a big paycheck. You will once you sell the company someday, but not now. So right now, we'll do about $50 million in sales for Camp Bow Wow this year. That's a lot of money. But when you go to sell a company, there's a lot of different factors that go into that, and it's not necessarily like, oh yeah, you get to sell it for $100 million, and there's other people, investors, that have helped you get along the way. But the ultimate goal is to sell the business and make a decent amount of money, and I will probably end up giving a lot of that back to the dogs through the foundation, but that's just me. You don't have to do that. The great thing about America is that you can do whatever you want to with that money. You can give it back to people that you love and care about, you can give it to charity, or you can reinvest it in starting a new business. And a lot of it's going to go to taxes, unfortunately. But that's just part of what we are and where we're at today. Is your company recession-proof? Well, the good news is Camp Bow Wow's sales are up 25% year over year. So that means people have not stopped spending money on their dogs or cats or snakes or hamsters. They still love their animals and they're still spending a lot of money on them. The way it has hurt us is franchise sales. People can't get the loans to open the businesses. So we can't open as many businesses as we want to. But overall, it's been a great business to be in. And I'll answer one more question. What suggestion do you have for college students for success? Well, that's a great way to end my time with you. A, find something you're really passionate about, whether it's sports, animals, business, whatever it is, it's your passion, not somebody else's, not what your parents think it should be, but what you're passionate about. Then I want you to think really clearly about what opportunities there are around that passion. What's missing out there? What, if you're a sports player or an animal owner, what are you looking for as far as a product or service? Look for an opportunity. Create a plan. Remember I said write it down, just put some bullet points down, write out what you want to accomplish, and then take action, you guys. You can do all those other things, but if you don't take action and take steps towards fulfilling your dreams, then none of that will come to fruition. So just keep the phrase in your mind, play ball, just even if it's little tiny drops of the ball, even if it's little tiny steps. But the most important thing is you got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe that you can do all these things that everyone's going to tell you can't do. But the good news is you're surrounded by people that do believe in you, whether it's the folks here at the college, the folks at your high school, your teachers, your parents. All of us are rooting for you. All of us are rooting for you to be successful and do something that you're very passionate about, that you love, and to be a big success. So thanks very much for having me today. I've had a great time talking with you.